Hey folks, what's going on? You know who this is, and I am so happy to be joined by one of the truly greatest living bass players on the planet that you ought to know about, Mr. Percy Jones. I think some of y'all might know him mainly through Brand X, but he's done a lot of stuff. Percy, thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me on.
How's it going today?
Well, all right. I mean, the weather's crazy. I mean, it's so warm here now. Like a few days ago, it was minus 11 Celsius.
Yeah,
Now it's 15.
that's
I mean,
crazy.
go out with a t-shirt.
Pretty strange. Um, Percy, you're originally from the UK
Yeah, I grew up in Wales.
in Wales. Okay. And
Um,
when did you move to the United States?
1979.
Wow, wow. You've been there for
Time
a while.
Yeah.
Any regrets?
Um, that's a difficult question. I don't think so. I don't know how things would have turned out had I have stayed in the UK. So,
Gotcha, gotcha.
I'm still alive, so
Yeah,
it can't be
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
So Percy, when we I first contacted you, you mentioned that there are some issues regarding Brand X that you'd like to address that people need to know about. It sounds like you have some folks misrepresenting you. Is that what's up?
yeah. I mean, try and put it in a nutshell, we reformed in 2016
Hmm.
after several years of not being active,
Yes.
and the two guys that managed us. The one guy financed the reunion
Hmm.
because somebody had to get us all together to rehearse and get in shape to go out on the road. So
Right.
he financed that, but on condition that he played in the band,
Mm.
and he played percussion.
Hmm.
Um, so we went on the road and we started gigging, touring.
Hmm.
And after a while, I started getting frustrated because I couldn't get any accounting out of them.
Oh boy.
So after a couple of years, it was becoming more and more of a glaring problem.
Yeah, that's no
So
good.
I told them, I gave them an ultimatum. Said, if you're not going to come up with any accounting, I won't want to work with you guys anymore.
Yes.
Still nothing. I sent them spreadsheets to fill out, fields for everything I could think of,
Right. Yeah.
gas tolls, whatever.
Yeah.
Still,
You should know. Stuff you need to know.
so then the latter part of 2019, I just told them, that's it. I'm not working with you guys anymore.
Right.
Uh, so in the press, it's saying Percy Jones quits Brand X.
Oh.
I didn't actually quit. I
Hmm.
just stopped working with his managers.
Yes.
So they continued with John,
Hmm.
and John had a big problem with substance abuse. He was an alcoholic, so they pretty much exploited him. They started trying to recruit another rhythm section. Um, Kenny Grohowski was playing with us, and they
Yes.
they canned him, which is probably a bad move because he's such a good drummer.
No doubt. Now
Uh,
you're playing with him now in Pakt, right?
yes, yeah, I still
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Um, so they had a tour coming up in the end of 2019, but John caught COVID,
Mm.
subsequently died.
Mm.
Uh,
Rest in peace.
so in our contract, which we published on the website, that particular part of the paragraph, in
Hmm.
the event of Jones or Goodsall dying, that they have to give up. The managers have to stop representing the band, and that's the end of it.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
right after John died, Robin Lumley and myself.
Hmm.
uh, Robin Lumley was an original member
Right. You guys are Brand X. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we're the three owners legally are Goodsall, me, and Lumley.
Hmm.
So Lumley and I put out a statement retiring the band.
Yes, yes.
Um, but these two managers have kept going on Facebook,
That's
and
unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Misrepresentation.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to, and I'm glad you're giving me the opportunity to do this. What I wanted to do was to try and educate all those people that go to that Facebook page.
Hmm.
And I don't know if they think that they're talking to me or Rob Lumley or
Hmm.
definitely not John.
Yes, yes.
They're actually talking to one of these managers,
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
and he talks about himself in the third person.
Oh,
So,
that's unfortunate. Is it the guy on this CD here, the percussionist?
yeah,
That's really unfortunate.
we
To
did.
make beautiful music and then have somebody be like this is. I'm really sorry about that. I hope that this video does help to spread the word about who Brand X is. You and Robin,
Right.
and that page on Facebook. I looked at it today. It hasn't been updated in a while, but it's unfortunate to have to deal with this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I'm really just trying to move on and write new music and
Yes.
do new stuff. We retired the band, and Brand X going for almost 50 years. Since
Yes. Yes.
1974, and we just don't want a couple of guys essentially stealing the name.
Absolutely.
That's actually what's going on.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well,
So
I'll
we
help
have
to
a
spread the word.
Thank you. And we
I
have a
will
new
help to spread the
website,
word.
which has a history of the band. So
Mhm.
I think anybody who's interested in Brand X will get a lot more out of that website than Facebook.
I'll be sure and post the link here. I certainly will.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Can I ask you a little bit about your history, Percy?
Yeah.
Because again, I just to give you background, I'm in Nebraska, and so have you ever played in Nebraska?
No, I've never been there. No.
Exactly. See, a lot of musicians of your ilk and your stature never come here. I found out about you through being a longtime Genesis fan. And when I first heard Brand X, it was mind blowing. But as a record collector, I dug deeper and went back and found this album of yours, Liverpool Scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this one of the first recordings that you did?
Yeah. I'm just behind the fat guy with the bow tie. His name was Jimmy Moore, and he was the owner of a pub called O'Connor's Tavern.
Oh, that's you with your head on your head?
I'm standing just behind his right shoulder.
Right there.
Yeah, right. That's me.
Wow.
That was like 1960, I don't know, 7 or something.
Yeah, this is now. See, now what's mind blowing to me, Percy, is that the first thing we hear on this album is your bass, and it's a very unusual sound. It's like you already had this rubbery, I guess that's one way to describe it. You already had the style going. How did you discover how to play bass like this?
Well, I was never formally. I never had any formal music education.
Really?
No, I mean, I went to University of Liverpool, and I studied electronic engineering.
Okay.
But with music, I'm self-taught, an autodidact, I suppose.
Wow.
So,
you did a damn good job.
and initially, I listened to other bass players for inspiration, like Charles Mingus was a really big
Yes.
influence on me. And that record you just mentioned, I think that was the first album I ever played on.
Oh, wow.
I was about 19, I think, then.
Wow. Wow.
Recording then was 4-track.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No, not even 8-track, I don't think.
Right.
So
right.
The bass and drums are on the same track.
Yes. I remember those days. I'm just a little bit younger than you. I started recording when it was still just 4 tracks too. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And the reverb was all these copper pipes under the concrete pipes under the floor.
Right.
And I remember we recorded and mixed that record in a day.
Wow. Wow.
So,
That's amazing.
yeah.
So now, to me, it's interesting, Percy, that you started with the Liverpool scene, and it's poetry and music based. It's like from the beginning, I get the impression that you were about being a musician, making music, not interested in celebrity.
Yeah, well, Liverpool scene was uh, I'd met a bunch of guys at the university who were also into music, and one of them was Andy Roberts, who played guitar in Liverpool scene,
Yes.
and he was studying law. And we had this band called The Trip,
Mm-hmm.
all students.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy told me, I'm involved in this other thing. We're looking for a bass player, and that was the Liverpool scene.
Mm-hmm.
It started out as poetry and music.
Okay.
Adrian Henry, the main guy, was a poet and a painter.
Yeah.
So it started out as poetry and music, and it gradually morphed into more rock and roll than poetry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we got pretty popular on that sort of pub club circuit.
Neat. Yeah.
This is sort of mid to late 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of bands on that circuit, like Jethro Tull,
Mm-hmm.
Christine Perfect, who just passed
Yes.
away recently, had her own band.
Yes.
She was on
Yes.
that. Very nice lady, actually. And others. So and we ended up, we did a tour with Led Zeppelin. We opened for Led Zeppelin
Wow.
in '69.
Wow.
And we also came over here in late '69 to do a tour. And I think it was the first or second gig. They had us open for Sly and the Family Stone.
Wow. This is so wonderful. This is so cool.
Talk about a mismatch.
But how cool though? Yeah.
It was in a gymnasium at Kent, I think it was Kent State University, and
Mm-hmm.
we all walked onto the stage, and the whole audience started laughing at us.
Wow.
We didn't
Wow.
say anything. So
Yeah.
we played our set, and it was they were not into it. I mean, but they
Well,
were super polite. I mean, nobody booed, or it was just kind of silence for the whole set. And
well,
Sly came on, and the place went nuts.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, Percy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still so intrigued though that how you mentioned Mingus, but nobody else sounded like you from the beginning. How did you, what was the genesis inside of you for creating the sound on the bass that you make? It's very, very individual.
I think it was just constantly experimenting
Okay.
and trying to get sounds, trying to make the bass more have a bigger vocabulary than it normally did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's all sorts of things you can do, like harmonics, sliding harmonics, and
Right.
pulling the string off the fingerboard, making it buzz a little bit. And
Yes.
all
Yes.
these nuances you can do, and
Yes.
it's almost trying to make the bass sound like a living something or other.
I think you were very, very successful at it. I tend to think of you as a sonic explorer as much as a bass player.
Yeah, that's
You get so much. I mean, it's almost like the bass talks. You make the bass talk.
right.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two important aspects of bass playing. Is obviously one of them is technique.
Yes.
To be able to physically play what your brain wants you to play.
Right. Right.
Another one, which I think sometimes is overlooked, is the tone and sound.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's equally as important as chops.
Hugely important. Hugely
Right.
important. My dad was a jazz musician, played with people like T-Bone Walker and Lionel Hampton. And as kids, he was always going on about tone. He was a sax player. So I got that right away, and I agree with you. The other thing is that it's the way you touch your instrument, isn't it, Percy? It's in the touch.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I tend to use a somewhat higher action
Hmm.
because I can get more dynamic range.
Hmm.
There's more of a contrast between hitting a string lightly and really pulling hard on it.
Yes.
And again, that's part of the sound thing, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I never cared for a highly compressed bass sound where there's not much dynamic range.
Yes.
You don't hear much variation in tonality from one note to the next.
Right. Right.
So,
Well, you got that. You got that together, Percy.
in saying that, everybody's got their own approach
Yeah.
to playing a bass,
Yeah.
and that's fine. That's what makes the world go around. The fact that there's
Totally.
varieties of style.
Yeah. It's music is just fascinating. Percy, you really stand out. So, like for example, this album.
Mhm.
This is a Brian Eno album, but when I hear it in my head, the first thing I hear is your bass on Energy. Is it Kurt's Rejoinder?
I can't remember the names of the tracks.
Yes, but it's like your bass playing is the thing that I hear when I listen, when I think of before and after science.
Mhm.
And I guess what I'd like to ask is, how conscious is it when you were doing these things to be such a presence? It's not like a background. It's like it's one of the features of the music, the main features.
Um, well, I remember those sessions quite well, and trying to remember how we hooked up with Eno. Oh, yeah, we Robin Lumley and Jack Lancaster did a concept record called Peter and the Wolf
Yes.
using Prokofiev.
Yeah, I used to have it.
Hang on one sec, I was just going to turn this.
Yep. Yep.
I got this box of tricks that monitors for solar flares, and when the sun goes down, it'll start beeping. So I
Okay. Okay. Talking to you.
so we had a bunch of guests play on this record, and Eno was one of them. And I think Eno heard the rhythm section, which was me and Phil Collins,
Mm-hmm.
and called us to play on his stuff. So I remember we went to the Islands studio, and I didn't. I mean, I just sort of showed up, and I don't remember giving it a lot of thought. I mean, I just put the bass on, and I just played whatever.
It's so fantastic. It's so fantastic. It's fantastic. It's like you responded. You very much from the instinctually just responded to the music.
But something interesting was that Eno's approach was interesting because he wasn't like the usual guys you work with.
Yeah.
And he would let me pretty much play in my own style. I mean, he never kind of micromanaged what the bass was doing. He'd sort of let me do the thing, but then he'd say, those two measures that you did there, loop them, repeat stuff like that. I remember one day, I mean, I did numerous sessions with him, and one day we were in a deep discussion because he would listen to suggestions too.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, some people don't like that. They'll say, this is my record, like, piss off,
Right, right.
But he would listen to suggestions. I remember one day we were in a discussion about something, and he said, let's have some cake. And he went under the board and he pulled out like a fruit cake, and he had some paper plates and plastic knives, and he cut everybody a piece of cake. So we're standing around eating cake, and then we all finished eating, and then everybody completely forgotten what we were talking about.
Neat.
Something else. Completely different.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
In retrospect, I sort of wondered if he did that on purpose.
Uh, Probably. You know, you've done a lot of cool stuff. I want to ask about a few things. I've just got an hour here with you. Thank you again so much, Percy.
Okay.
I'm honored to just even talk to you, my brother, because you know I'm a bass player, but I play all other instruments, but you have directly inspired me to play listening even more closely to achieve to take the music to another level. That's what I hear, Percy. Whenever I hear you play, it's like I hear you right away. I recognize you, and it's the music is always really good. And here's another example, Nova.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about these sessions doing this?
Yeah. I think what happened was um, they were an Italian band,
Yes, Osana.
and there was some issue with the rhythm section. I don't know exactly what, but anyway, they called Narada Michael Walden and myself.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So we went in and did the record, and I was struck by the compositions. I'm trying to remember the guitar player's name.
Elio Donna.
He was the horn player.
Oh, okay. Okay, I can look it up right quick. But you like his compositions, eh?
Yeah, really nice stuff. And then Narada wrote.
Oh, yeah. Corrado Rostici.
Corrado, right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
So the writing was good, and you know, again, I went in and just sort of without any plan, I just sort of played what felt appropriate on the moment, you know. And I mean, the record came out good.
Really good.
Yeah.
Really good. You sound like a band on the record.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it really does. Wonderful. You've done some really wonderful work over the years. I'm just gonna just bug you about some of the stuff like Masami Tuchiya.
Yeah, Rice Music.
What was that like? This is a great album.
Yeah, I went to Japan, I think it was in '82, to do some gigs with a band called the Plastics.
Yes, yes. Hajime Tachibana.
Who was that again?
Hajime Tachibana with the Plastics. Hajime.
It was Chika Sato, who was a model.
Okay, the singer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a guy, Toshi. I've forgotten his last name. Toshi.
Okay.
The two of them. And
okay, so Hajime was already gone. He was gone when you played with him. Go ahead.
I don't remember that name.
Okay. Okay.
So myself and Dougie Baum went to Japan. We spent actually a couple of months there playing with the Plastics. And Masami Tsuchiya was like their musical director, I guess. He was playing guitar with them. So he called me back. Oh, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. While I was there, Masami was doing his own record, and he called me in to put bass on that, which was the record you just...
Yeah, Rice Music, yeah.
And then I think a couple of... I'm sorry, I'm stumbling here. It's quite a long time ago.
No doubt.
He had apparently a hit with one of these tunes on that record. It's called September Love, I think.
Okay.
So a couple of years later, he called me back to do a tour of his own band.
Nice.
And it was me, Richard Barbieri, Steve Jansen, who were both in Japan.
Yes.
Masami and a violin player, Akira, somebody. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the names.
That's quite all right. Quite right.
And we did a long tour in Japan. I mean, at that point, it was really pop music.
Yes, yes.
So I had to wear a suit. I put an X on the stage where I had to stand, and I had to play everything just like the record.
So, no, I'm sure. Did anyone ever ask you to sing?
Lucky for them, no. That wouldn't have gone well.
Percy, I recently talked to Richard Barbieri. I recently interviewed him, and he spoke briefly about you. You're on this album with Richard Barbieri, Planets and Persona.
Oh, okay. Is that? I think I played on a couple of his records.
Yes, you're on this one. You're on a song on here called Solar Storm. It's wonderful. And you're on this one. Can you see it?
Yeah,
Under a Spell.
yeah,
Under a Spell. This is his most recent solo album. And you really fit well with what he does.
yeah. I like what he does. You know that he's got such a distinctive sound for one thing.
He's one of my favorites. He is.
The last time I saw him actually was it's probably 5 or 6 years ago. We did a gig in Sweden with a Swedish band called Isildur's Bane.
Isildur's Bane, yeah. Isildur's Bane, yeah.
And Richard was on that. Mel Collins in Crimson, Pat Masterletto. The two bass players, me and the Swedish guy. And a very good classical guitar player from Italy, Christian Saggesi.
Nice, nice.
So it was fun. It actually, at times, it sounded like a big band. You know, the sort of composite sound of it. And we spent a week rehearsing. And at the end of the week, we did one gig.
Oh, nice, nice.
It was a nice trip, actually.
Sounds wonderful. To jump to the present moment, you're playing with Alex Skolnick and
yeah, Tim
and okay, and I watched some of that online, and it sounds wonderful. I don't have the CD yet. What's happening these days with Pakt and anything else you're working on?
Yeah, it's been inactive for actually over a year because Alex and Kenny are so busy.
Yes.
Alex plays in Testament.
Yes.
They do a lot of touring. Kenny is, I've lost count in how many bands Kenny's in. So they haven't been available. But I heard from Leonardo recently, he's hooking something up for February or March.
Okay. Awesome.
I think he got some definite dates sorted out, and some of them he's still working on. So it looks like, you know, we're going to do something pretty soon.
Wonderful, wonderful. Our paths might cross. Leonardo and I have been talking about it. He says, well, we need to meet. I come to Chicago, you come to Chicago. So if you guys play in Chicago, I might make the show, you know.
Reggie's, right? Red clubs, yeah. Because we played there with Brand X a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, looks like stuff coming up with it.
Nice. I don't have much recent of your discography, but I have some of this older stuff I'm curious about. John Hassell.
Oh yeah.
Possible Musics. This is just to me like some of the best music I've ever heard, and it's like
yeah, he was very interesting. He died not so long ago.
Yes, unfortunately, yes. So let's hear so Brian Eno had a way of working. What was it like with John Hassell as the leader?
It was kind of interesting. At that point, I moved. I was living here in New York.
Okay.
And I think Eno called me to go in and play. And I remember at first it didn't seem to be going well.
Okay.
I was playing some stuff, and John didn't seem very happy with it, and he was trying to explain to me what he wanted from the bass. So understanding what he was trying to tell me. So I'm thinking, wow, this is not going to go very well. And then I heard Eno telling him, just let him play, just let him talk, referring to me, just let him play. So I did, and it came out all right in the end, you know.
To speak of that, here, Words with the Shaman. This one, remember this? with David Sylvian.
Yeah.
John Hassell's on here as well, and your contribution is very important to this mix of music.
Right. That was a strange one because I got a call like on I think it was a Wednesday from Virgin, someone at Virgin saying, can you come over to London, do some recording with David Sylvian? I said, okay.
Right, for this album, Brilliant Trees. David Sylvian, Brilliant Trees.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't have these records, so I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're on this. You're on this. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she said, can you come over and record? And I said, okay, when? And she said, well, can you leave tonight? so, so I, grabbed a toothbrush and a bass, and I flew over to London, and I flew overnight,
Wow.
And I thought I was going to be able to go into a hotel and sleep for a while. But guy picked me up at Gatwick, took me straight to the studio.
Oh my God! Wow.
Wasted, So anyway, I played, and at the time, I didn't think I was tracking anything that was of much value to anybody.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It really is. I'm surprised. A couple things. I'm surprised, sort of, that you don't read music and you weren't formally taught, because I've watched some videos where you talk about technique and you really sound very knowledgeable about the instrument and about music. So you did a great job teaching yourself. You taught me stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to right now learn how to read and write music.
Okay.
There's certain situations where you go in and you get a chart stuck in front of you.
Yes.
And if you don't read, like I don't,
yeah,
forget it.
Yeah.
I mean, my thought on reading is, I would encourage people to learn. But just being able to read and write alone doesn't necessarily make somebody that creative. But it's definitely a good facility to have.
Yes. I was always dyslexic with it, so I've been lately trying to work on reading too. It's still tough for me.
I have a really hard time with it. I mean, a chord chart I can sort of okay with, but notation, it's really hard.
I want to thank you again for your time. I won't keep you too much longer, but I want to ask about a few more recordings, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So Vic Stevens, I didn't know who Vic Stevens was, the drummer. I bought this because you're on it. It's really good. Mistaken Identities.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is really good. And again, is this one where you got a call, or did you know this guy? Did you know these folks?
I'm just trying to remember. I connected with Scott McGill.
Okay.
And he was living in Philadelphia back then. Now he lives in England. Just trying to think back. They were doing a tour with Scott McGill, Vic Stevens, and Michael Manring. And they had me open for them when I was doing I was playing by myself, doing a solo.
Okay.
Some material from Cape Catastrophe.
Okay.
Yeah. And then later on, that developed into actually playing with them, doing some recording and stuff.
Right. Tunnels. This one.
Tunnels. Yeah, we had that band actually for several years. And that was the very first record, I think, which is actually my favorite, very first one. I think it's
very good. It's very good. I have this one as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think we did 5 altogether.
Okay.
It got to the point in the end where it sort of stopped progressing. I mean, it kind of flattened out creatively.
Yes.
I figured it's time to call it on this one and move on to something else. You know.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what's inspiring you these days? What's inspiring you?
Sorry, it's getting darky. That's a really hard question to answer, actually.
Well, let me put it like this. We're both, I'm 67, and so are you enjoying life? Kind of taking it easy? What you're up to these days? Are you happy with how life is going?
Yeah, it's not much. I'm not listening to a lot of stuff at the moment. I'm just sort of doing a lot of messing around here, with the bass, keyboard, and stuff I have. Just trying to create, trying to come up with a different way of doing stuff. Like, for example, just one aspect of it. I mean, for the past 50 years, bass players tend to syncopate with the kick drum.
Yes.
To the point where it's almost become, in some circles, if you don't do that, you get told off.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's got to that extreme. And the concerts, the subwoofers, so everything has got, kick and bass. Got
right. Yeah.
So just one aspect is I'm trying to actually break away from that. That's just one little example of. So just trying to do things differently.
No doubt.
Different ways of putting music together. If that makes any sense. I don't know.
It makes complete sense. The thing I thought of is like getting away from being straight with the bass drum, but setting up counterpoints.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I lived in Liverpool from 66 to 71, and that was kind of where that kick and bass syncopation starting up. And it's gone on ever since.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Do you have a favorite Brand X album of yours? Which one of these do you have a favorite?
Not really. I mean, there's different aspects of several of them that I like. I mean, actually, Masks.
This is killer.
I like.
This is a killer album. People always talk about the first one, but I think this one is like, woo, this is badass, Percy. This is badass.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with that still.
Yeah.
You talk to people generally, they talk about the first 3 records. But we didn't want to keep like putting out the same sort of stuff stylistically. So we're trying to move along. Style and approach. So I mean, Masks is a different approach to for example, on the rock and roll.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm happy with everything we did, except after 1980, when we disbanded because the management dropped us, the record company dropped us. We couldn't, and we were geographically scattered all over the place. We couldn't continue. They started releasing compilations without consulting the band, and putting stuff out on CD.
Let me ask you.
Terrible mastering.
Let me ask you, is this one of them? X-Files.
Yeah, is that?
It says the X-Files, a 20-year retrospective. I wondered, is this legitimate?
Yeah, I think that one's okay.
Okay, cool. Because it has stuff on here that is some solo stuff of yours and some John Goodsall soul stuff on here. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So this is legitimate.
Okay with that one.
Okay, cool.
There was one called actually just after I moved to New York, a record came out called "Is There Anything About?"
Yes.
And I went out and bought a copy because somebody told me, "Hey, there's a new Brand X record," and I thought, "Really?" So I went to Tower Records and bought it, and I took it home. Yeah, and I played it once, and then I gave it to the kids next door. I didn't even want to keep it.
Wow. Wow.
because
This is probably one I'm the least familiar with. And isn't that interesting, huh?
I mean, there might be a couple of tracks that are okay on it, but you know, somebody went through outtakes,
Hmm.
fans outtakes, and
Yeah,
put together whatever that is. You know,
right. So these CDs of you live after the reunion,
yeah.
really awesome shows. It sounds like you guys were really
Well,
playing well.
the problem is, going back to where we started was not getting accounting for the stuff. You know,
So you're still not receiving you're still not getting what's due you?
we could never get accounting for anything.
Man,
See,
that is some bullshit.
T-shirts, yeah, that was part of the problem.
Wow. Wow. I'm really sorry to hear that. It's unfortunately so damn common in the business.
It is common, yeah.
Yeah. So I would assume that the work you're doing that you've done with Leonardo goes better. Leonardo Popkovic.
Yeah,
Yeah. He
yeah,
seems like a decent guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty, you know, he accounts for everything.
Yes. Honest.
That's really important.
Yes, he's
So
honest. Yeah.
with the most recent management, we were being treated like employees.
Mm,
You know, at the end of the
yes.
tour, you get a payment, but you wouldn't know what the other guys were getting, or what the managers are getting, or what the venues are paying, or you know, it was just. I'm not, you know, you can't do business like that.
No, that's no good.
So there you go.
So you're going to be doing some shows next year. It sounds like, eh?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's been quiet actually for a couple of years. I mean, COVID did a number on
Yes, yes. We're still recovering in many ways.
yeah. Um, so we got the Pakt stuff coming up. There's a couple of MJ12 gigs. That's a band I have here. But
Okay,
I really like playing with those guys.
nice.
We have a couple of local gigs. Um, the Bitter End here in New York.
Yes.
Elliot Sharp called me for a gig in March with him and Billy Martin from
Yes, I know these people. That's
David.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I just have to kind of like blow my trumpet for a minute. I'm on this recent compilation called Jazz from the 23rd Century. I have a track on here, and the track before mine is by Elliot Sharp. Elliot Sharp's on here too.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, when I moved to New York, he was one of the first people to give me a gig, actually. So I've known him, you know, for a long time.
Very, very interesting guitarist for sure.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, he takes it right to the edge, you know.
No doubt. Yes, he does. When's the last time you were over in England or overseas?
I think it was 4 years ago.
Okay,
I
cool.
tried to go to Wales. Well, I was managing to get over to Wales like every summer, spend a month there. Um, you know, that's where I grew up. So I
Yes,
still got roots there, you know.
absolutely. Yeah.
But then when the pandemic hit, I mean, the traveling thing was just more trouble than it was worth, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I haven't been over there for 3 years or so.
Wow. Well, Percy, this has really been a very enlightening conversation. And
Yeah. Thanks
I
for
just,
inviting me.
yes,
Yeah.
I want to thank you on behalf of me, but also on behalf of people watching, fans, that your approach to bass playing has been really phenomenal. And I really think that you've taken bass playing a step further. You pushed the envelope. And
Well, thank
and
you very
I
much.
yes, I just so you're not concerned with accolades and being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but have you been recognized formally, like won any best of or anything like that over the years?
Um, you mean in terms of sort of awards or
Yes, being recognized for your playing.
well, back in the 70s, late 70s, Brand X won, I think, a poll in Melody Maker as the best jazz rock band. And I think I got cited as a bass player. And then after that, there was nothing. I know Bass Player magazine had a poll fairly recently, the top 100.
Yes.
I was 100, so I got in there.
Well, she should definitely ought to been up a little bit higher,
And more recently, was it Jazz Times cited Pakt as one of the best new recordings or something.
Excellent.
So there's a little bit of that, but
well,
nothing.
Well, you definitely deserve more accolades than are publicly on display. And I just want to again thank you, Percy, so much for taking the time to talk. And your playing is inspiring. Do you play every day? Do you still play every day?
I try to. I mean, no, that's not true. I do. Some days I'm too busy with other stuff. I don't. But as a general rule, I try and put in 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Of just playing something or other.
Right.
It doesn't take long to lose your chops.
No. And yeah.
The older you get.
Yes, I'm a little rusty right now myself. But the other thing I wanted to just again say before I forget is you must have quite an ear. You must listen very, very deeply.
Yeah, fretless bass is a challenge with intonation.
That was it. It's how did you defeat that? Because I played fretless and it's such a challenge. It's is it feel or is it the ear? Or is it both that gets you're really good at your intonation?
I think it's ear and maybe some muscle memory as well.
Okay.
An upright player that comes to mind was Niels Peterson.
Yeah, so good heavens, yes.
And talk about chops.
Right, with Oscar Peterson, yeah.
And intonation.
Yeah. Scott LaFaro, did you ever hear Scott LaFaro?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the shit. So yeah. But you're one of them, Percy.
Well, thank you very much.
You're one of them.
Very encouraging for me.
Well, I think folks like you who have pushed the bar don't get enough recognition from, in particular, the fans like me. So that's why I'm so happy that I have this opportunity to talk to you, Percy. Thanks so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
You're just one of the best. You're one of the best.
Thanks very much. That's very nice of you to say that, actually. It's encouraging.
If you guys come anywhere near the Midwest next year playing, I'm going to try and come see you.
Okay. By the way, this was a few years ago. Someone put a website together for me, which doesn't exist anymore, but he tried to get the domain percyjones.com, but it turned out to be a lumberyard in Nebraska.
That's funny.
So, yeah.
They beat you out, damn Nebraskans.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Percy. So good to talk to you. You take care now, all right?
All right, Dereck. Thank you very much.
All righty.
Happy New Year, too.
Happy New Year. You definitely. Take care.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.